first of all, you need to know what solutionism is. And what I mean by solutionism is that it's this tendency to start solving problems without actually figuring out what makes them problematic. And just solving problems with the tools that you have at your disposal and not thinking through what are actually the matters at stake. And the reason why surveillance and big data can lead to solutionism is that we have an abundance of data that can help us to preempt problems before they have even become problems. And I think that's a shift in how we think about problem solving that is worth debating. And perhaps it might be that some problems need to become problems so that we can understand what's ailing us and figure out a different way of fighting it, and not just to optimize the system based on its current conditions. The pictures of information apocalypse so far that I've seen are not particularly vivid. I think we need to understand what happens while so many of us share data voluntarily, what will be the political and social consequences. We have to figure out who will suffer, what will be the distributive effects on justice, on equality, on fairness, on equality. Those are not the kind of questions we've been asking. We've only been talking about privacy, and while privacy is important, I think there are other issues at stake here. So I do want intellectuals and artists and novelists and people who can push it beyond just mere economic calculation of the trades and benefits and costs to let us figure out what will happen once everyone is carrying Google Glass, and the Google Glass tells you everything that's to be known about the person that you're about to meet, and you know so many things about them that you start behaving differently. How would that affect human communication? How would that affect how we interact with each other? All of those are somewhat futuristic concerns, but they have to be articulated so that we can opt for a different future. So science fiction writers, novelists, intellectuals, artists, all of those, I think, need to step up their game. I don't think that he painted the picture of apocalyptic stuff that I have in mind. He said that, the government is watching us, but we've known that. I mean, I have a very different apocalypse in mind. I think that, it will eventually not be about the state or the NSA. It will eventually be about technocratic structures which leave very little space for the citizens to actually be citizens. And, citizens are reduced to just being consumers, and they no longer can actually understand their own place in the system. They can no longer think about how to revise the system. And that's what I find most problematic about the world that's coming into existence. And it's not just at all about surveillance. So the fact that the reaction to Snowden has been somewhat muted, to me, partly suggests that we might be debating the issue from the wrong side, and then there might be other sides, and that perhaps we need to figure out what they are, and we need to take this debate outside of the surveillance framework, and we need to connect it to broader issues and concerns connected to democracy and social theory. I think we have to challenge that. I mean, I think that there are ways in which algorithms and big data and sensors can be deployed to challenge our assumptions about democracy and big data and whatnot, but so far they haven't been, and we need to encourage designers to think differently, but there is nothing inherent to technologies that make them evil. It's how they're being reinscribed in political and social regimes that results in sensors and algorithms being used the way they are used. They can be used differently. I think we should have algorithmic auditing. I think we should have auditors that will come in and examine how algorithms work, what their political implications are, what biases they code for, what discrimination they make possible. And you don't need to publish the algorithms themselves, but you can have some kind of an algorithmic commission of people who will step in and examine those algorithms and then report on what they find in a way that many of our financial institutions already do. But a broader ethical framework wouldn't hurt either.